language being so important to winning and conveying your story going into a very interesting election year. So what would you say our audience should be listening for in the 2024 election? And, what's going to take for a candidate to break through this time around versus what happened 4 years ago?
I think what's interesting to me about the language that presidential candidates in particular used is that there can be a perception, if you're not involved in politics, that they know what they're doing. They've looked at the polls and they figured out what they need to say today, and everything is characterized in a perfect way. What often they're doing is they're experimenting. They would never say it that way. But when slogans change and tone changes and lines of attack change, they're really trying them out in real time. And they're seeing what gets the crowd going. How is it covered by the press? Do their poll numbers go up? And so, part of what I think people should watch for is who continues to sound authentic, who continues to sort of feel in command of his or her story and has a sense of confidence in what they're saying. Because those are the folks that ultimately tend, to succeed, because they're not all over the place and they're not sort of poll testing language. They're speaking with authenticity and conviction. And you often see those, those moments when you see them. They're like, oh, okay, that sounded real. That sounded like the so-and-so I remember. Yeah, and so I would look for those moments of authenticity. And also what I would do as a reporter is, there's a sameness to the debate. And what really gets interesting is when something sounds a little bit different. I remember one time when I covered President Bush, and this is going to feel like a long time ago to some of your audience, but during the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, every day was some sort of update, and it sounded procedural and mechanical, and they shouldn't have been. It was about war and life and death. And one day, President Bush came out and said, I just got a briefing from my generals, and we're seeing some durable gains. Now, that quote might sound pretty vanilla, but I remember looking at my colleague, Jennifer Lovin, and our eyes lit up because we had heard him talk about updates on the war hundreds and hundreds of times. It's the first time we ever heard him say durable. Something in that briefing signaled to him that we have a sense of confidence that we've turned the corner. And he was counting on somebody who's been paying closely attention to seize on that word, which we did, right? And that's how, if you're listening closely, as a reporter, you can tell a better story to the public. If you're listening closely as a voter, you can start to see like, okay, is this person someone I can trust, authentic, and have they gotten onto something? So those are the cues I'd be listening for.